comics.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Comic Cave. This is a special evening today for this review of Art Spiegelman's Breakdowns. This is an adults-only comic.
Kids
Portrait
turn
of
away.
the artist as young as early works by the creator of Mouse.
That's right.
This book is very beautiful.
Well, I think it was the first comic to ever be recognized in like a literary sense and brought into the canon of like American literature.
It's now been banned.
Good.
I was in Tennessee at the time. I'm kidding.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. It won a Pulitzer Prize. Didn't
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. Yeah. So, yeah. And then they have had trouble trying to categorize Mouse, whether it's a fiction or nonfiction work. So,
That's wild.
That's
It is.
interesting. It kind of skirts the line though. Like
Yeah.
it's a. I guess we'll probably get into it as we discuss this book, but if you guys don't know, Mouse is a almost like a autobiographical kind of look at Art Spiegelman's parents' lives in like Nazi Germany.
yep.
So you're going to see a lot of allegory, a lot of horror, and a lot of like really just moments of feeling. You know, like I don't want to call them necessarily expressionist or impressionist, but you see a lot of like just raw human emotion on the page.
Yeah. And the title for this work is actually a play on James Joyce's Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. So the way that this is told is kind of like half story, right? It kind of tells it's almost like he's telling it from his point of view, and his up and coming and how he became an artist and all the things he did leading up to Mouse and after. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So I was really stoked to get this and to read it, and so yeah, let's dive right in. You guys ready?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
All right. So, whew, it's already beautiful.
We're going to start off problematic. That's a midget detective, and I only call him that because that is as described. We're going to see a lot of this symbolism, the swirl, that'll be repeated throughout all the strips, all of the breakdowns throughout the book. It's really interesting because this whole project feels like Art Spiegelman playing with the medium of comics and experimenting on what is comics throughout
And
60-year span.
Yeah, and he
40
touches
years.
every single type of comic medium
Right.
on there. Like, you got the Sunday or week daily comics that were in the papers. You've got the Mad magazine.
Right, we feel
satire.
this repeating pattern too, right? They're all square panels. They're almost interchangeable because I mean there's so much of like the same, like we're feeling this whole intro is his childhood.
Yeah, and we see like him like going through school and sports and picking up his first comic. We saw him pick up his first pencil and learning how to draw, and then we saw his introduction into horror and romance comics, and then he's on a trip that he's going somewhere far, and he's hearing his parents talking Polish, and he wakes up and they're just like, oh, just go back to bed, like we've got a long trip still. And you're seeing all these different iterations, and then in each one of the panels it tells you the year. Right. And there's six bubbles of just the quick thing that popped into his head, and then we fast forward to 2004 to him being an adult and having a child, and it goes back and forth, and I really enjoyed all that. And then it shows the funny books and one of his first books that he was wanting to replicate and do, and somebody who inspired him.
We see Mad, we see Mickey Mouse, we see
everything.
Carl Barks.
Yeah, everything that was coming up at this time of that.
Can we go back one page real quick? I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
But I love, so we've been getting, up to this point, we've been getting his childhood.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's all like in the funny strips, or like shorts. But when we get to this point, we're seeing he's well aware that this is the acknowledgement that he's just in the shadow of this thing that he created, Mouse. and it's like, how do you rectify that? How do you incorporate that into your personal relationships? It's like, oh man, like I created this thing that's a societal, you know, phenomenon, and he's trying to relate to his son in that moment, knowing like that he's got this giant thing behind him, and it's really cool to see. It's like, oh well, you know what, we'll deal with that later, and I don't necessarily know that we do.
I don't think we
in
do.
this book,
Yeah.
but
but
that
again,
seems real.
Again, there's that autobiographical thing. This is, you know, kind of telling, and some things that people don't know about Art Spiegelman, or who only think he's only known for Mouse. One of the cool fun factoids that people realize is that he was actually the inventor of
The Garbage Pail Kids.
yeah,
Cards.
those trading cards. So that was pretty cool. It was like, seeing that was pretty dope. I got to be careful here what we show on YouTube, just because there is some stuff that we might get in trouble for.
That's I think that's the next page.
Yeah, so we're gonna be careful, because there is a reason that this is for adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so we'll skip the part that's for adults.
So here, and if you guys are fans of Raw Magazine, which you might be if you're watching an Art Spiegelman video on YouTube, this is the original breakdown magazine as published, which is the collection of all his strips. So this, up to here, somewhere in there, is, I guess a little deeper.
Facsimile.
But he's got a facsimile of the original magazine produced and put into here. So it's
Yeah.
all strips, experimental strips from the 70s.
And here it is.
The original 3-page mouse. This is the seed idea that grew into the national treasure, the international treasure.
What I like too is when he first starts telling his dad about the idea of wanting to make that, and he's like, I need to come in and just record you. And his dad's like, well, you don't need to just come do that. You can come and hang out with me and like live here if you want. Like, dude, I'm by myself.
Yeah.
And the other guys, they're all game to talk about it, man.
Yeah. And if you guys have read a Mouse in the past, you'll recognize this, The Prisoner on the Hell Planet, which was the one that actually caused the big rift between him and his father. Created some separation there for a while, and then pissed his dad off because he talks about his mom and how he dealt with her unfortunate death, suicide, I believe it was. So just kind of be careful here, just because I'm trying to make sure we don't get flagged or anything, because there is some adult content in here. But
Yeah, this is a good book. This is a really good book.
It is. And I know it says adult. There's so many formal, like if you're a young person and you're trying to understand comics, like obviously like Scott McCloud, Understanding Comics, fantastic book. Definitely pick that up. But there's a lot that you can glean from this. I mean, we're going through, but there's a lot.
Yeah, we're
there's a
good now.
lot with this one that's just so good. So much of it is experimental
We're
in
not
a
good.
way that only comics can be. We see diagrams that, are dream sequences. How brave is that?
yeah.
Leaving a quarter of the page untouched. Like, wow.
And just the way that
Well, this is-
it pushes what
he talks about Heaven's Gate. Is that Heaven's Gate?
No, this is fucking fantastic. This is the midget ace hole as described. That's not me, projecting.
Yeah.
That's as described. And it's this hard-boiled detective, and he's going on this case that's exploring Mr. Potato Head, Picasso, high art, formalism, dreamscapes. We see Nemo in Slumberland down here. Like that's some fucking 30s shit right there. That's
Yeah.
crazy. This guy knows his comics and he's incorporating it all. Like we see so many influences throughout this whole book. We see R. Crumb, we see Panther, we see so many people, like, I don't want to say aped, but you can see that he's absorbing it and putting it out in his own unique voice, and it's so cool to like see it filtered. I really like it.
And I think it's important to distinguish between a comic book artist and a cartoonist, because Art Spiegelman is a diehard cartoonist. He can switch up his style so incredibly, like from one spectrum to the other, and he does it so seamlessly that it's you could see why he's a master of this.
Right.
And
so
it's-
here would be the break of the
Yeah.
breakdowns. So that's the end of the facsimile of the original breakdowns book. And you know what? I wasn't born in 1978. I don't know if this book actually came out. And whether it did or not, I'm sure it did. But whether it did or not, that's so cool. Like, it's so beside the point. Everything in this whole collection just feels like an experiment of
Yeah.
what you can do in comics, of what you can do with a printed fucking medium, which is so cool because we don't push it far enough. And this feels like it's pushing.
No,
You
and
want to
you're
buy some art?
yeah, and you're no, and I agree with you too. And I think we had a conversation with someone about the cost of self-publishing books and things like that. And what is $8.95 in 1978?
That's a lot of money.
It's got to be more than $3.99 now.
Yeah,
That's
so
more than a paycheck.
so yeah, so
it's
it,
not more than a paycheck, more than the hourly rate. That's for sure.
yeah.
Sure.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like the cost of this alone, but what it meant historically for him, and it's incredible.
And it's so cool, man. If you're middling along, or if you're just making art, man, like, keep making art.
Yeah.
There's so much shit in here that just he's not especially proud of, that he's pushed.
He
And-
shows the different eras of the time.
Yeah.
You know, he shows what artists had to do to basically stay alive, and this is incredible.
I like the synopsis.
The synopsis is great. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. But that's Art Spiegelman for you, man. That's Art Spiegelman. And if your introduction to him is only Mouse, you have to pick this up. In the Shadow of the Two Towers, you have to pick up pretty much everything, because there's more to him than just this. And
Absolutely.
you can't walk away from this and not feel inspired to want to read some more, and to look at look at the independent scene, look at the underground comics, and just support the hell out of those guys, because they need it.
Absolutely.
You never know where they're gonna be. You know?
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, there you guys have it. That's our breakdown of the breakdown, Art Spiegelman's breakdown.
yeah. Portrait of the Artist as a young
Until then, we're in the comic cave and we're out.
and you can go beep yourselves.
Long live comics!
Let's all go to the comic cave. Let's go.